I want people to wake up every day being like filled with vigor and energy and excitement and passion and drive. And I want to help people start to bring that passion out and that energy and excitement, because I think the world needs a lot more grunt, a bit more grunt towards what they want.
Bit of grit.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
A bit more like, oh, I want that so bad, I'm going to work hard for it.
Anarchy! I don't even know what this means, but I love it!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is you're listening to this. Welcome back to Before the Money, or welcome to Before the Money if this is your very first time with us. I'm joined by my new roommate and good friend, Adam Green. How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic. So if you've been tuning in for a little while, we did an interview probably about 5 episodes or something ago. It was very short. It was only about 13 minutes. We just nutted it out real quick. But this guy has a lot more to him than we got a chance to see in the last episode. So we've got him here in Electric Sugar. For those of you on YouTube, you'll see we've got a double couch set up. Very, very bougie. So we're going to dive deep into Adam Green. We're going to kind of share some stuff.
Yep.
That excited you, didn't it?
Yeah, it excited me.
I saw your ears perk up when I said that. We're going to dive deep into Adam Green tonight, guys. So make sure you head on to YouTube because you want to see this in a visual spectacle. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good. I'm just keeping my eye on little Fred, the puppy roaming around. How you doing?
He's exploring. Yeah, I'm doing really good, man. It's been a big week, hey. Well, I suppose it's the start of the next week now, isn't it?
It is Monday, yep.
Holy shit.
Crazy.
And then, because we're recording this on my birthday, the 29th of November.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Big 24. But it always trips me out whenever we get to my birthday because it's like, fuck, we have one more month until this year is done. 2021 is over.
It just zipped by. Literally just zip. All of a sudden, it's almost December.
Yeah.
And I remember 80 days ago, I was planning this 80 days to my birthday, which is the 31st of December.
Yeah.
And
shit.
every day I was like, oh yeah, 79, 78.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's not even 40, I don't know, 30 something days now. And
yeah.
Nuts.
I know. Because you do this every year. When it gets to the end of the year, it's like, fuck yeah, next year is the one. Next year's the one.
This is the year. This is the time. This is the year.
I know. And the thing is as well, we, especially I look at someone like you, you're progressing every year, you know? I'm progressing every year, but we have these kind of expectations of what we can do in a short amount of time, you know, because we hear, I think that stems from social media a lot of the time as well.
Yeah, 30-day challenge, 60-day challenges, and you want to block everything into a nice, pretty package. I can do this in this many days. And it's kind of, if you try and do that, and you're not doomed to fail, but when it hits the end of that 30 days, what next? Yeah. So, that's what I've been trying to deal with in the last X amount of days where I keep saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to start this challenge today and it's going to go for this amount of time. I'm like, why not just start today and not cap a day on it? Yeah. Just keep getting better.
Build it into your routine.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because I've done multiple different types of businesses and stuff like that. Just dabbling in different, or I suppose you'd more so call them side hustles. And they all have kind of you could earn this amount in this many days if you follow this 30-day program and all this kind of shit. And it's yes, they have testimonials of people that have done it and all that kind of stuff, and you can do it. But it's for the vast majority, it's really just about developing the habit, the positive habit of whatever kind of skill set you want to bring on, or whatever kind of lifestyle you want to build.
100%. It's not. People always think it's going to be this is the year I'm going to turn my life around. January 1st, I'm going to be a whole new man or a whole new woman. I'm going to develop these skills. But you try and you fail and you try and you fail. And I can look back at my own time. If I look back, things have changed so much. But it wasn't one day I just woke up and flipped the switch. Every day I'd try and fail, but get a little bit better at it. Try and fail, get a little bit better. So it's not, you don't just wake up a whole new person, January 1st.
Yeah.
You got to try and you got to fail. You got to keep trying at it though. The main thing is obviously everyone knows you keep persevering, but you look back and that thing that you were really bad at, you've gotten a little bit better at over the last 12 months. Now you can be oh yeah, I'm pretty comfortable doing that. And that was something I couldn't do 12 months ago. So it's not just a wake up, changed man.
I know. And I think a lot of people would like it to be like that.
Oh, you want that easy. That's why people buy those 30-day programs. You want that yes, I'm going to purchase this thing. And when I press buy now, like all of a sudden I'm just going to be a committed, disciplined person. I'm going to do this, take these pills and do this person's program and become the absolute stud I want to be. But it's not just as simply as like buying it. You got to actually implement it. And everyone already knows what they need to do. They're just looking for that quick, like, if I buy this is going to give me the secret.
Yeah, like if I buy this, I might turn into someone like Adam Green. You know what I mean?
Flattering.
That's the end goal anyway.
Buy my program. I'm just kidding.
So what is it that you do day to day? Because you're about to go through a major shift, aren't you? Kind of trajectory wise.
Yeah, day to day, living. Nah.
Yeah.
It's
To a degree.
Yeah, definitely. I do a few different things.
Yeah.
One of the main income right now is disability support work. I've been doing that for a bit under a year. It's been really fun because the company I work with, we focus on ecotherapy and adventure therapy, which is getting people outside into nature, getting them out of their comfort zone, going on pretty wild adventures, getting into nature is a huge healing source. I think people don't take that seriously. It can really change people's lives, just getting yourself away from your regular spot, out into nature and just relax a bit.
Yeah.
But that's our main thing. Government rules are changing. You have to have certain medical standards now to work that job as of the 17th. It's not something I'm looking to do, so I'll be changing careers. But I have the Billy Vintage. Billy Vintage is my online vintage store / working at the markets I used to do 2 years ago. Stopped doing that for other reasons, but it's always been a big passion of mine to continue and to pick up again. So I'm stoked to be kind of forced back into that by the way the world is, and I'm just so excited. I'm not even forced. I'm so excited to do it again. It's just been I needed that little push.
Yeah.
And then the training side of things, I help with the Brotherhood Gold Coast's strength and conditioning side of training. I train some guys one-on-one as well. I'm going to really amp that up, really get into that in the next few months as well. Doing a lot more one-on-ones, getting out there. Social media-wise, I don't really put this out there, but health and fitness is a huge part of my life, and it's just such a... I don't know, I think it's the main medicine people need is movement. Movement, mindset, mindfulness, they're my big 3 pillars, and those things they aren't taught in schools. They're not preached at medical places. Doctors don't tell you to go for a run, eat better, and get into nature and shut up and sit with your thoughts. They say take this pill.
This.
Yeah, come back see me next week, take this. But that's something I love. So
I resonate with that really hard, and I'm very very grateful that I'm finding that tribe that views life that way, because through my own personal experience, when I'm living life under those kind of values, I suppose, everything is brighter. Everything is, I'm lighter, I'm happier, I'm more productive. I'm obviously everyone still gets kind of anxious about certain things day to day, but there's not something that's weighing you down or slowing you down. You feel like you're fucking jumping out of your skin.
Yep.
That's one thing I kind of really admire with you. So we've now had exactly 1 week in the house, living together, and it lit a fire under my ass, because literally you're one of the most kind of go hard dudes I've ever met, and I haven't known you to kind of waver from that yet. I haven't seen a dip.
Nah.
So it's kind of allowing me to be on top of my own shit in a good way as well.
Once you hit a standard, you know yourself as a certain standard. He wants to come up. Once you know yourself as a certain standard, or you've brought your bar up, if you were to go below that, that's a bad thing. If you're if you're up here, if you're good jump, Freddie. If you're up here now, and people know you for that, you know yourself that's the person you are. If you drop below that and allow your standards to drop, that's gonna have a huge toll on you, mentally. You'll start 100%. To get real depressed. Man, I used to be this. Those guys that peaked in high school. Yeah. And they were the man. Everyone knows this story. The guy that was absolute the man at high school, and then he's kind of peaked, and then he's allowed himself to drop because he's had his thing. The thing is just, you can keep kind of finding a new peak, keep going, and don't let yourself drop, because that's how you slowly progress and become the absolute person you need to be. Is you just don't drop your standards. Keep those standards high. Don't settle, on yourself. Be the most hardest person on yourself, and that's a big thing for me. Is Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius, I think, says it is be extremely critical on yourself and patient with others. Other people are going through their own thing, but you need to be the most discipline with yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. So that's just a big thing for me, is always like knowing what my standards are and not dropping, but trying to raise.
Especially when you make promises with yourself and you don't keep them, then you tend to not like value the stuff around you, and like other parts of your routine start to break down very, very quickly. So it's almost like as soon as there's like one crack in the glass, it's now, you know, completely shattered almost.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was another reason why I really wanted to kind of move into this house as well, is because there's lots of very positive, creative, driven energy in the house, you know? So it's like, and there's sometimes as well, like when I'm exhausted, I'd just be like kind of sitting on my bed on my phone, and I was like, and I like see you guys doing shit, and I was like, fuck, what am I doing? And so I just get up and go to work, you know? Because sometimes the traps of society still try and claw you in.
Oh,
you know?
The world is designed to try and keep you, you know, comfortable and slow, trying to keep you at bay. And I think a big thing with the Brotherhood and just the movement we're trying to push is, and just men in general, something I'm really passionate about, is don't fall victim to society's trap of keeping you soft, you know, stay comfortable, eat the foods we tell you to eat, consume our media, consume all this and that, become the good little boy we want you to be. I'm trying to get people in this high vibration of like go-getters, aggression, but like controlled aggression, like happy aggression, like be absolutely buzzing with energy to go after what you want. And if you kind of encapsulate all those good things into your work, into the things you love, you're going to be such like a higher functioning person than normal society, and you'll just stand out and you'll just get everything you want. And you just got to push past that kind of comfort zone.
Because things, when you operate at like a high vibration, the same way like kind of magnets work, it attracts things into you, it draws things into you. And like when Kato and Guy from the Brotherhood were on here, we had a long chat about manifestation. And basically those two kind of go hand in hand, because if you're putting effort into being a high energy person, a high positivity, high gratitude, you know, when you're like vibrating love, and you also have an idea of what you want to bring into your life, those are that's such a powerful combination. Interesting that Kato, we saw today, he's now gone for this audition for Ninja Warrior. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Stoked for him.
Yeah,
Stoked.
That's so sick.
Yep.
And like he was saying on his story today, basically that all he did was submit an application, you know, but it could have been so easy for him to just say, oh, that'd be nice to do that for ages, and not, even though it's such a small barrier to entry, it's kind of, we often don't take that step. And do you think that's because like you don't think that it's worth it because intrinsically you don't think you'll get it? Is that why people don't?
100%. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to apply for this because I don't want to be rejected. A big thing is the fear of rejection. Every kind of, you know, every conversation in life, every time someone wants something, your want for it has to be stronger than your fear of not getting it. And a lot of people can never get past that, so they stay in this like one kind of rut forever because they're scared that if they try and break out of it, they won't make it. But, you know, if you try and break out of it, you get a little bit more comfortable in that unknown and you get a little bit better, so you can try again if you don't get it. But people never shoot their shot because they're scared they're going to miss. But like, shoot it, because who cares? You're going to miss. Like every time
you shoot a shot and you fail, at least you know what it feels like to shoot a shot, you know, so you can get a little bit closer next time.
Yep.
You know, and when you hear of like all these famous entrepreneurs, or everyone that's made something of themselves, they have a track record of humiliating defeats.
Yep.
Because that's the only way you can get there. Even the people that are overnight successes, they took a long time to get to that one thing that made them an overnight success.
Definitely.
And that's just the case. So like when you're not willing to kind of put in the groundwork, or because the thing is as well, when we've failed at something a couple of times, you're like, fuck, is it even worth it putting all this effort in? But at the same time, if as soon as you stop moving forward, you start moving backwards.
Everything's tried to keep you comfortable, satisfied, happy where you are, but just continuously making those small, really minor adjustments, minor steps forward. No matter what, if you're just like crawling forward, you're still moving forward and you're still doing better than, you know, 99% of the world.
Yeah. And one thing that I found interesting about you is like, you would say something like one day and then the next day it's done, you know? So when you were saying like, oh fuck, I'm going to have to like change careers and all that kind of stuff. Oh, fuck, I'm probably going to restart Billy Vintage. I was speaking to you the next day. Yeah, bro, like paid for the order. It's, it's going to be on the plane soon. And it's like, yeah, sick. I love that you've just taken action on that straight away rather than being like, oh, this situation is fucking bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now I got to try and figure all this shit out. It's unfair. It's like, yeah, it is unfair. There's lots of things that are unfair.
Life is hard.
Life is unfair.
Yeah.
So I really kind of admire that quick action. And like you were talking about a little bit before we came online, it's like the way you choose to respond to situations gives them context. Like something can happen to us, and if we don't really allow it to affect us, then it doesn't have any weight past the situation of it occurring. There's no need to carry that stuff with you.
That's a huge thing, like massive thing for me in the last, I don't know, like five entering adulthood, like 5-6 years. Had a wild roller coaster of my first few years of being an adult, doing lots of crazy things. My emotions were very up and down and up and down. It came to a bit of a climactic crash, and I was like, well, shit, what next? And I kind of had to be pulled out of this darker spot, but by myself, because if I allowed someone else to kind of pull me out of this spot, I'd be like I'd always need someone else to do it every single time. And I came across this thing called Stoicism. It's pretty sick. I think every guy should look into it, every person in general. And the big thing I talk about is if you can control it, don't complain about it, control it. Do what you need to do. If you can't control it, why are you wasting your time worrying about it? Like, not 99% of the things you worry about haven't happened, won't happen. You don't even know if they're going to happen. You have no control if they do or don't. So why are you worrying? And a big thing on that is like your reaction. Yeah, it's everything. If you react to something like something bad happens to you, you laugh about it and say, oh well.
It's not because you don't care. Like if anything, it's like you react to it in like a cool manner is because you want the situation to be felt for the way it was. You don't want your emotions to cloud whatever the situation was. You want to be able to analyze it. You want to take in the information of what happened. And like I have the same kind of thing with relationships. When there's conflict, friends or like romantic partner, whatever it is, when there's conflict, it's like you don't lose your cool. You talk about it, and like you can be frustrated as long as you don't allow that frustration to take over you.
That saying, this too shall pass, so that's a big one. Like you feel something, allow yourself to feel it. Don't try and bottle up all your emotions. Like, nah, I'm just stone cold. Like you feel it, you feel it. You understand, why did this thing make me feel this way? Like, why am I trying to like unpack it? Really, just keep taking away the layers. Like, this made me feel this way because X, Y, Z. All right, I need to either work on X, Y, Z, fix that, so next time I won't feel like this way, or I just need to understand that every time this happens, I'm gonna feel this way, but I can't let it affect, my day. I can't let it affect me. I need to understand it, feel it, let it pass, move on, keep going forward.
There's actually a free audiobook on Audible all about kind of like Stoicism, and it breaks down kind of what certain Stoics were talking about throughout the different ages and gives them kind of like context. And so I was listening to a whole lot of that, and they were dealing with the exact same mental issues that we're dealing with, right now. Like another book that I'm reading is kind of about meditation, and it talks about kind of a lot of the ancient monks, and in their meditation they would still be distracted. Their mind would wander. They used to write about how distracted they used to be. They didn't have like technology, they didn't have anything like that. It's like the human mind hasn't changed really at all from the teachings of these people. We're
still the same person. We're still on the same earth, looking at the same stars, the same moon. We're still these people. Our clothes are a little bit different now. Like, what we do for work's a little bit different. But we still have the same people issues.
Yeah. The mind is fucking a few million years old. So we're only just starting to deal with it. But I'm really interested to see what the next generation of people are going to be like. Because there is lots of... So on the positive side, they have access to whatever information from an early age.
Yep.
So that can go one of two ways. Like the people that take that privilege and teach themselves the right thing, you know, that's a superpower. Like, we're already seeing it now with like 16-year-old millionaires in the crypto space and like NFTs and drop shipping, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, the people that are under the thumb of the information, like they're allowing it to control them. That is just too, like, they know too much shit at a young age.
Oh, it's terrible.
You know?
They don't know they know too much bad things.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of kids in my work, and the things they say and the things they talk about, and I'm like, whoa, at that age I was playing with sticks. I wasn't on an iPad on naughty websites or just watching weird videos. Like, I was out in the woods, like, you know, like what boys do, you know.
I was making bow and arrows, bro, literally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nerf guns and
sparkler
bicycles and bombs and doing weird stuff. And the good thing with that is we were out there figuring out, all right, that was a bad idea. I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
By the age of 12, we're like, you know, we were fit young boys who'd climb trees and run around and do all this stuff. Now look at 12-year-olds these days, and they're like glued to their screens. They're playing their Minecraft and their Roblox, and they're scared of everything outside of their game.
Yeah.
And like, a lot of the ones I work with, they're just really just, you know, scared to go out. There's some that are like out the gate, climbing rocks. I'm trying to chase them, but most of them are soft, and they're not being raised to be ready to take on the world, because there's also a huge culture of like, no, it's okay. Like, don't worry about it. Like, just keep watching this TV show. Keep doing this.
Yeah.
There's not like a culture of like, oh, you fell over, it hurt. That sucks. Let's keep going.
Dust it off.
Yeah. It's different.
Yeah, it is so ridiculously different. And like, I look at kind of my dad's generation, and like, I'm going to be super biased, but I really like kind of our block of adults that are coming into the 30s and stuff, from their 20s to their 30s, because we understood life before the internet, you know, and when we got the internet, we were old enough to comprehend it because our roots were already kind of embedded.
Yeah,
basically.
definitely.
So there's like a special name for this group of people, and we are going to have an enormous effect because we have the empathy to understand what other people are feeling. We have the access to information. We have like the youth, so we stay on top of the trends and we see what's happening. But we know life before it, so we're not all consumed by it.
We got both sides of the coin. Yeah.
Because like my kind of dad and my parents' generation, like, I haven't heard my dad talk about his emotions once in my life.
Same.
You know? But it's like we can talk about that openly because we understand how valuable it is.
Yep. We've got all the tools we need right in front of us, and it's crazy. Like, the amount of things that we can achieve, and like, just society today, we've got all the tools in front of us, especially our generation. And as you said, we've had the upbringing without it. We now see it. We know how to utilize it. We have the toughness of the earlier days. We have the intellect of the new like technology days. We've got it all at our fingertips. Like, all you got to do now is just get an idea and run with it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Exactly. So what made it, we've got about 3 minutes left of this section.
That's all I need.
Then I kind of want to talk a bit about Billy Vintage, and I want to talk about the character. You know, because for anyone that's tuning in for the first time, I run a clothing line called Anarchy, and Adam here has just kickstarted like his vintage clothing line. So there's lots of kind of things we could talk about back and forth. We mentioned the other day that Billy Vintage, the character who Billy is kind of an extension of you, isn't it?
Yep. It's a rabbit hole we're going to go down. So we can start now and then continue the sequel in the next one.
Let's just reset the cameras now and we'll get into it.
Alrighty.
Appreciate it, guys. If you are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you just take a quick screenshot, post it on your channel of choice. And if you are if you're listening on Spotify, go check it out on YouTube, because Freddie, the beautiful, is he a cavoodle? Spoodle. Yeah. Oh, chocolate Spoodle. He's a gorgeous boy. He's asleep on the sofa. So jump over to YouTube, leave us a review, all that kind of stuff, comment. See you in a second. Peace. Thank you very much, guys. We are back. So where we were talking about Billy Vintage.
Yep.
What made you want to start a business that was direct to consumer, and you know, what time of your life were you in at that stage?
So I started 2 years ago, I think, on that one. I've always been massive into vintage, anything 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. It's been huge for me. Growing up, mum's an antique stealer, so we spent our
wow.
days markets, op shops, antique stores, like rummaging through Melbourne trying to find stuff for her to sell. And that's rubbed off on me, obviously. And I've always been like, I'd go to the markets with her trying to flip my toys for like twice the money I bought them for and stuff like that. And I was always into selling, markets, stuff like that, more into just like the vintage culture and all those things. And when I wanted to start Billy, it was something I'd thought about for a while. I saw things that I have always enjoyed, I always loved, starting to get a bit more trending. And I thought this would be a good time to try my hand at business.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked into what needed to be done. You got to buy stock, you got to make a website, make an Instagram and stuff. That was all cool. The biggest fun of it for me was like buying the stock, having it arrive, and be like, sweet, I'll keep that, I'll sell that, I'll keep that. And then I kind of spent a fair few months running Billy Vintage at the markets in Burleigh and online. It went pretty good, but I didn't put much effort into it. I was also working full time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started a new job in a different area. Because when I was working full time, I was at Culture Kings. I was very in tune with like fashion, with what people wanted, with that kind of stuff. Then I went into more of a real estate role where I just lost. Like that was a silly choice for me. It's not something it was great lesson. I learned a lot from it. It's not something I was very passionate about, so that was doomed to fail from the start.
So what made you go into it that then? What enticed you?
It's a sad thing. It's bad as money. I wanted to make more money. I'm like, I can make more money doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go into any job with the intention of just trying to make more money, you're probably not going to last very long, because you got to start with the passion and the want to serve and the want to do it first.
Mm-hmm.
And then the outcome will be more income. And I did that job for a while, and I was working a lot more hours, and everything in my life just fell to the side, including Billy Vintage.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped doing it for a bit, and starting up again now I'm super excited for, because it's something that I love, something that I'm passionate about, super excited for it. It's billy.vintage on Instagram.
Billy.vintage. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. What was the question?
Well, we were talking about like the time of your life when you kind of started that up, but in the case of that, it's a kind of similar story to what I did with Anarchy. Like I started Anarchy in high school, went hard on it, and then went into a different area. I kind of put it on pause. Then I came back to it again, ran it for a little bit, and then moved to Sydney, put it on pause. Then I came back to it, and each time I come back to it, I've got more skills, I've got more kind of connections, I'm more confident, have a better understanding of what it actually takes. So every time you hit it, it just gets incrementally better.
Yep.
So when you're coming back into it now, you're surrounded by, people that can help you in that.
Yes, I am.
You've got the understanding of what it takes. Same kind of thing for me and Anarchy. So you're gonna smash it this time around. And like Vintage is so on fire right now.
Yeah, it's always gonna be. They did it right back then, and that's why like since I can remember, I've been buying vintage clothing, secondhand clothing, so they say. I've been into that stuff since forever, and that's why I'm just 100% sure that it's not gonna go anywhere. Like new trends come and go, but this stuff's lasted forever. So I like it. If I like it, I'm sure someone else is gonna like it. So it's what I'm gonna sell. It's what I'm gonna surround myself with. So
the cool thing about it though, and just kind of from like a marketing branding perspective, when it comes to fashion, there are so many different criteria to make someone like a piece. People don't necessarily love a particular clothing brand for their style or something like that, but they liked it for what they represent. And with vintage clothing, like right now you've got a Metallica tee on.
Yep.
Because everyone knows what Metallica is, they've got like this aura and stuff like that. People look at that shirt and they see kind of history or an attachment or an association to something. When they're looking at, say, a new brand that the logo doesn't mean anything to them, there's no narrative, there's no story, there's no attachment to that. And that's why people really like vintage so much. So it's interesting. So you buy all that stuff from America?
Correct.
Awesome. And how did you go about sourcing a person for that?
When I started, it was just looking around, reading reviews, sending emails. I luckily found a really good supplier for my first, for the first order. I didn't have to, make a few phonies to find the right one. I found a heaps cool guy, Ryan, in the States. I'll keep the company disclosed.
Yeah.
Ryan is a mad dude, really helped me out. We had a lot of chats about how it was best to go about this, and he really looked after me. He's still with that same company 2 years later. I reached out to him. We're back on. I had a big old issue.
Yeah.
We were doing really well. We were just killing it at the markets. Online was, ramping. And then Ryan and his company, they got smashed. Like 1 week, they just got smashed. They had no stock, and I needed stock ASAP.
Yeah.
And I just quickly jumped onto some other website, didn't do my proper research. It was entirely my fault for not really thoroughly researching this company. Placed a very hefty order, and for the next 4 months after that, I just got the rat race, emails back and forth. Hey, when's this coming? Hey, what's going on? Because Ryan, I order on Monday, it's here the following Monday from the States, like quick turnaround. This place, for 3 months had gone past. They would give me really phony answers. My momentum at the markets, I couldn't go because I had no stock. Crumbled. And that was one of the biggest, learning points and downfalls for when I first tried, was making some bad decisions. But I learned from that.
Exactly.
We learn. And
patience is so key.
So key.
I could probably backtrack most of my major slip-ups to patience, especially in the crypto space. Like, there were periods of time where my portfolio was fat, but lack of patience, I thought I could beat the market, ended up kind of losing out, or definitely not gaining as much as I could have if I had just been patient and rode the wave.
Yep.
And it's like that with everything. I've had I've had many similar kind of hiccups, and it's so deflating when you're on this roll. Things are moving. You're getting a serotonin boost, making orders and communicating with people, selling. The markets is fun, bro. The markets is really fun. And then you hit this kind of wall where you're like, oh fuck, I've only got random sizes left that no one fits, or just like the shit pieces of the collection are left, stuff like that, and you just kind of stagnate for a little bit. But interesting enough, if you had kind of waited an extra week and ordered from your dude, you might have only been 2 weeks behind.
Yep, would have been A-okay.
Sure.
The company that I did buy from, the bad time, I'll name and shame them. I think it was called the Dust Collective or something like that. I don't know, Dust Vintage in the States, so they say. They kept telling me that they're waiting to send my order because they want to get the best, the A-grade stuff for me. They want to give me the best stock they can get. That's why it's taking time for them to get it. When they finally sent it, I got this big box full of the most heinous women's, small women's Harley. Think of 2001 Ed Hardy bedazzled Harley women's t-shirts. When I'm looking to get men's XL and large and 2XL black t-shirts, they're sending me these tiny little pink bedazzled, not even the cool bedazzled, the ugly bedazzled.
Really?
T-shirt.
The tacky stuff?
The tackiest of tacky stock arrived, and that tested me. I had to really get creative to try and move that, which didn't work very well, and that's what kind of put a little spanner in the works for the momentum. But yeah, I learned from that.
Did you manage to move much of it?
Yeah, I ended up moving all of it. I ended up liquidating at one point. When I was oh no, this is not for me at the moment. I sold it all off for the same price I bought it for. But I did move a bit of it, a bit of ingenuity, a bit of scissor work, crop tops, this and that. I moved a bit of it, but nowhere near the volume it could have been done if it was the actual
right
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
There's shit you learn. I'm still sitting on stuff from my very first collection. So you were talking a little bit about in the kitchen the other day, the character Billy, and how whatever is an extension on who you are, and I relate to that a lot. Why is it important to kind of have a character for your business in the first place?
First and foremost, you get into this the zone. I am Billy Vintage. This is who I am in a market space too. When there's people around you and you're communicating face to face, I can't just be some monotone You got to be like energized
Yeah.
and to get into that, because sometimes that isn't me, but to get into that, like it's Billy. I can jump into that and be this like out there, like in my head think of like some 70s like big hoss kind of like whoa kind of dude, and I just project that, and that's how I can go into the Sunday market, high energy, this is who I am, this is the brand, and kind of try and just make people have a good time. And I use that kind of like in my head, all right, Billy time, it's Billy time, let's go, and pull that out of the bag. And I think to a deeper degree, Billy Vintage and all that is one of my characters that
Your alter ego.
this is a weird thing, but my whole life in my head has been a movie, or it's been like TV show, or it's it's been a story, and I haven't always been the same character. It's like there's different people in this story, and there's always people in my head like this one side of me is quite a calm, go away, live in a shack, stoic person. One side of me is this out the gate, fiery, flaming, like egocentric, explosion of excitement. And there's other, so many different sides that come out when necessary. And trying to, put a name and a face to them does help. And when you start to slip into one of the ones that you don't necessarily like, you're like, all right, he's showing a little bit too much face. Let's dial him back.
And it allows you as well to kind of bring certain characteristics to the environment that suits. I read the alter ego effect about a year ago. That was amazing. Like this particular guy, he was the one that created Beyonce. Like he worked with Beyonce when she was to give her that alter ego, because she was like a quiet little church girl just with amazing pipes. So he helped her develop this alter ego of her being on stage. Oh, camera's just died. Hang on a second. Anyway, he helped her develop this persona on stage that allowed her to be Beyonce, be that ball of energy that just attracts and like radiates confidence and stuff, because she wasn't that before. And now she doesn't need the alter ego, because that's like muscle memory.
Sasha Fierce, that's her name, isn't it? Or is that a different person?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Something
like
fierce.
That. That sounds kind of like a drag queen name, but it also could suit.
Something like that. Hey, insane. I'm gonna reset the camera.
Dunyan rings.
Dunyan rings, lovely stuff. Apologies for the inconvenience, guys. We had a energetic malfunction to camera one. So, progressing on, we were talking about Sasha Fierce, Beyonce's alter ego, Billy Vintage, all that kind of stuff. I'm yet to kind of make a character for mine, but I embody the same kind of thing, like Anarchy. Like when I sit down and design a collection, I'm designing for, my Anarchy alter ego and all that kind of stuff. It's a very personal experience, and that's why the brand has progressed as I've gotten older and how my style has progressed. We continue to reinvent ourselves. But yeah, interesting. So when you step into the role of Billy, what's that character like? How did you build that character?
It stems back to when I started working in retail. I worked at Culture Kings for 5 years, and I think that job was the absolute best thing for me. I learned so much about myself, about people, about relationships, communication. But going back to that, when I started working there, I was quite insecure, low confidence. Pretty shy guy, very shy guy. And if you've ever been there, it's quite a booming place, quite a in-your-face kind of atmosphere. I started working there, and I did a lot of jobs efficiently. I was ex-army. I was very task-orientated. Like I can tell me go to a job and I'll go do it. But then I'd say, all right, go sell. Go on the floor and sell. And I'd just freeze up. I'd get little panic attacks all the time. I remember telling Simon, the owner, we used to have some chats. I used to tell him how because I became one of their top salesmen, before that, I'd go out, I would have a conversation go not the best, and I'd get this crazy pumping. I'd start sweating. I'd go really red, and I'd have to run to the back room. And I told him I used to pump out push-ups just to trying to calm myself down. I'd go out, have these crazy panic attacks, pump out push-ups. And in that company, in those kind of companies, if you're not meeting KPIs, you're not going to get as many shifts, and I need to pay the bills, man. I got to eat. So
It's very performance based.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's very in a good way. Like they do it in
Yeah.
a great way, and I like literally love that company for everything they've done. But I understood if I wanted to pay the bills, I had to get better at selling, because I can do a million tasks for them, and they can all like be really happy for that. But at the end of the day, it's just the figures that really make a difference in the role I was in anyway. Other jobs different, but this was very based on figures. So
Yeah.
Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Great book.
Epic
Life-changing book.
Epic book.
Yeah.
I sat down, read that. I took a bit of tips and tricks, and I just started trying to put them in there. And it wasn't like a flick, but it was a slow grind to getting better.
Yeah. You're conscious of what works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was a mix between that and Stoicism, and the idea of whatever happens, like if I go in and mess up and blunder an entire conversation, I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
Like my limbs aren't going to explode, my nuts going to fall off. Nothing bad's going to happen. It's just one person I didn't like, and they don't even care. Like the person you're speaking with, I don't know this person. They
No.
don't know me. Nothing bad will come from me blundering a conversation. So stop getting so scared about it.
Mm.
And I just started trying to have as many conversations with people at work as possible, trying to like talk, trying to serve. And I was really like service based, so it wasn't necessarily any sales tactics I tried to use to like get people into things. It was, I refined the skill, so I got pretty good at it, but I was very service based. You'll come into me, you need your problem solved. Your problem is you need an outfit to go out on the weekend. I know that my way around the store. I'm going to get to know you, so I know what you want, and I'm going to give you your resolution. And I just amplified that. I used Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People to build really good rapport with people.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, they'd open up, they'd trust me. They knew I wasn't trying to sell them snake oil. They knew I wasn't trying to push stuff on them.
Mm.
And then my sales just went through the roof. And I had built this character which was smooth, man. I was like smooth, I was nice. I could, not in a bad way, but a chameleon. I could like blend into any kind of character to serve this person. I'm not going to go into...
you can meet them at their level.
Exactly. I'm going to build rapport. So that's how I started getting the idea of building a character. Simon taught us a lot about building rapport, matching and mirroring, all epic, tricks and tips for sales.
Mm-hmm. So what are those two things for anyone that hasn't heard about them?
Match and mirroring.
Yeah.
Big thing is when a customer comes in, or when a person comes in, when anyone comes in and you're trying to, sell something to them, you're trying to build rapport of some sort. People love themselves.
Yeah.
If you are like them, they will love you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a shy guy come in. He kind of talks, kind of quiet.
Head down, doesn't make strong eye contact.
Doesn't look at me. I'll do the same. I'll just stand how he is, and I'll
Yeah.
just talk with him like, sweet, like, what do you need? Or if some big, voila, kind of comes in, like, how you doing, bro? Like, I'll kind of match that. And it was, like, I got to the point where my accents changed a little bit, a little bit too much. But,
good G.
yeah, because I'm all good. And you just match their energy, because people love themselves. So you just be themselves. You just be them. You listen to what they have to say. You understand. You empathize. You're not fake. None of this is fake.
No.
Like, I was put on obviously a show just to talk to them better, because they can understand themselves better. But none of it was coming from a place of deceit or a place of like, I'm trying to con you out of your money. It was all a place of, I'm just trying to serve you the best I can. You're going to communicate better with someone who's like you, so I'm going to communicate like you.
Mm-hmm.
That's match and mirror. That's building rapport. A good way to build rapport, and building rapport is obviously getting to know someone, earning their trust. And I think that was a massive one. That was just like an easy, like as soon as I implemented that 10 times, like everything went 10 times up.
Have you heard of Chris Voss?
No.
Chris Voss. He was a FBI negotiator.
Yes, I think I read his book actually.
Yeah.
The negotiation book, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? Oh, I cannot remember. I fucking love that book.
Yeah, I did read that book.
Yeah.
The name's familiar. Yeah, no, that's sick.
And he's
Art of Negotiations or something like that.
I don't think it's...
Never split the difference.
Never split the difference.
That's it.
Yellow cover.
Yeah.
It's fucking epic. So he now owns like a negotiation firm, Black Swan. Yeah. And sales and all that kind of stuff. But what Chris Voss did, he was a hostage negotiator, and like for terrorist groups, or like, he used to get flown all around the world just to negotiate high stakes, the top of the top basically. And he talks about all those kinds of things when you're talking with someone who's maybe like sporadic and they've got a gun to a hostage hedge, you meet them at their emotional level, because then they can relate to you. It's like a lot of what happens in like relationships and stuff like that. One person's maybe trying to like calm down the other partner who is, angry or upset about it. It's like you need to meet them and be loud and be rambunctious and loud, and meet them at that level of communication, level of energy, because then they can trust you. Because if you're trying to calm them down, hush, 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 whatever, it's like that's dissonance. You're butting up heads against them.
Trying to change them.
Yeah, trying to change them. And it's insane, like, the way that the human brain works. We were kind of talking it a little bit off air as well. It's like, it is so malleable and yet so predictable. There's a roadmap, and like, I'm glad that this conversation has gotten onto books, because that's something that really changed my life. When I started reading self-development books, it was like, holy fuck. And that only happened probably like my first year out of school is when I finished my first book. I wasn't a reader, but once I think the first one I read was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That was the first book I read.
How is it?
From memory, I think it was great, but it was more so, every book that I've read since then has been my favorite book, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because each new thing you learn, it's like, holy fuck, I've just lived another lifetime.
Yeah.
Like when I read the Steve Jobs book, my mind just exploded.
When you take someone's like entire life work or all their ideology, and they put it into this little paperback book, and you've just consumed their entire philosophy, and you're just like, you could read this whole book too. Like, you might read a whole book and there'll be 20 lessons. You learn one, and you really learn that one lesson. That's enough to change someone's whole trajectory, their whole
100%.
life. It's sick.
100%. And like the amount of switches that have been flicked from me listening to a podcast with the right person, that's really like opened up a realm of possibility, or maybe they've said something, or they've maybe had a similar experience, and hearing the way that their thought process has broken it down, me applying that framework to my situation, I'm like, hang on, I don't actually want to be doing this certain thing that I'm stressing about. So why don't I just take this as a sign and go and do the thing that I'm actually drawn to?
Yeah.
That happens all the time.
Definitely.
What is your mission for 2022, bro? Like circling back to the original conversation, you're taking life seriously into your own hands now because of reasons we spoke about earlier. So what do you want your life to look like next year? What's your day to day?
Yeah, the day to day, like there's the ideal, and then there's the dream, then there's kind of the realistic, and I want them to all align pretty well. I want my dream day to be my day to day. Yeah. Looking at how that looks, it obviously involves like the 4 things that, like, I wrote them down this morning. Like, I really want to just nail the basics. So I want to get work where I want it to be. So Billy Vintage, there's a new project I'm starting up, which I'll kind of start slipping out soon, but it's not really ready to. Billy Vintage, my work with Brotherhood as well, and the training, so the PT side of things. That's one thing I want to like just dial in on. I really want to focus. I want to put a lot of energy into there, because I've never spent like a whole year focusing on my own business, my own things, and I'm forced into this position now where I have to, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so happy that I've been put in a position where I have to really take being self-employed seriously, and I cannot wait for that. And then my like kind of 3, it sounds so simple, but my training, my eating, and my sleeping, like sleep/stress control. Yeah, they're just like those 4 things. If I can just nail out those 4 things and have them every day, have my work down pat, done. Like, I've got what I need to do today done. I did it to the best of my ability. I trained, I ate well, and I slept well. My whole world around me like flourishes. Like, when those things are dialed in, my energy levels through the roof, my excitement for life through the roof, my compassion and love for everyone through the roof. So I'm just a better person for everyone else. I can show up for everyone else when I dial in those 4 things that I need to do. 2022 looks like me, all gas, no brakes, straight into the work, straight into the training, eating well, sleeping good, loving life, getting outdoors. That's that.
100%. And is there any particular thing that is a milestone for you next year?
Is a milestone. The last day of this year, I turned 25, like quarter of 100. I thought that was pretty cool. Next year, I'm going to say the milestone for next year is I'm going to be 100% self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be making a very good income that pays my bills, keeps me happy. But I'm going to be
invest a bit as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have enough to be able to put out back into the universe.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be a year where I really take control of my own life and I stop, living the flow of the world like to a different beat. I don't like really be on my own beat.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. Like I think I spent like a fair few years being like an NPC, like like a
swept
non-playable.
up in the current.
Yeah. A big thing I kind of think about is you see like a video game, those NPCs are non-playable characters.
Mm-hmm.
They've got their whole thing like mapped out for them. They're all like this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the hero of my own adventure, and I'm going to take charge, take control. I'm not going to have a boss telling me I need to do this. I'm not going to have someone saying this is due, this is that. I'm going to take control, be the hero of my own, journey.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm pretty stoked.
So what is it that you're working towards? Have you got like a clear idea of your future? Like for me personally, I'm currently Anarchy is a clothing brand, and with our first point of content, we've attached this podcast show. I want to build out like a kind of producing agency so that we can do the marketing and production for other talented shows, so that people can focus on being the guests, being the talent. You know what I mean? So I'm really trying to build like a marketing machine out of Anarchy, and the clothing is our way, like, because we'll be doing furniture, we'll be doing hard goods, all that kind of stuff. The clothing and the consumer products is a way for us to communicate and be in the homes of our community. But we want everything that we do to provide value. Like the reason why I'm doing this podcast, because I want to share the perspective of people like you. I want your way of thinking to be in the ears of people that are just going about their day-to-day life, and maybe they're in a similar boat where they know that deep down that they're worth something greater than what they're doing every single day, but because they're not maybe surrounded by people that are getting after it, they rest a little bit and say, oh, it's okay, like they can just be dreams, or that would be nice. But when you hear people actually getting after it, you almost allow yourself to accept your own ambition, if that makes any sense for a lot of people. So that's my main focus, man. I want to build this big machine that can help my community and provide like a sanctuary for artists and people that want to kind of get involved, because Anarchy is a lot more than just products and stuff like that. It's a way of mind. Like it's a
Culture.
It's a culture. It's 100%, and like it is a very like collaborative community.
Yeah.
So, is that larger goal formed for you? Yeah.
Semi. I have a vision. I have a vision indeed. It's not as grand as that per se. Like the vision right now is finding steps towards that. I have a few things, like Billy Vintage is one that I'm talking freely about now. Is I want to, tenfold that, make that massive, like just build that. I have another thing that just is still in the early days, so I'm not really going to go into it now, but I want that to be my main, mission, because Billy Vintage is awesome. It's something I'm so passionate about, but it's not providing the kind of service that I am really passionate about, and that's helping people, firstly become the best version of themselves. That's like the main thing. Become the best version, the most happiest version. I want people to wake up every day being like filled with vigor and energy and excitement and passion and drive. And I just love getting someone, like seeing someone who, starts, they're pretty like, a bit dreary, they dabble around in things. Getting them to be really clear on, like really laser focusing on what they actually want, laying out the steps, how we're going to get there. And then boom, like this person every day wakes up like, I'm so excited to get up. I'll get up at 4 a.m. because I just want to start. I want to help people start to bring that passion out and that energy and the excitement, because I think the world needs a lot more passion, love, and like a bit of, I don't want to say that word, but a bit of grunt, a bit more grunt towards what they want.
Bit of grit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit more like, oh, I want that so bad, I'm going to work hard for it. So I think that's like the next project you'll hear about in the coming weeks, but that's something that I'm so excited about. So I want other people to have that excitement too.
Well, maybe you might have to come back on when that's ready to fire.
Yep.
Talk about, because that's our audience. Our audience has grit. They just need to take that first step, and like that's the reason why I started this podcast. For me, man, like I have big plans, but I'm human. You know, I'm fucking human, and some days it's like it's a bit much.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
it is, and like so, I wanted to start this podcast. Number one, to keep me accountable. Number two, to be in the room with people that are getting after it, because like when you see it, like I spoke about at the beginning of this podcast, when you're surrounded by people that are doing it, you all have your off days, but they kind of are all lifted up by the unified energy. You know, a rising sea lifts all ships, so to speak.
Yeah. You're a product of your environment.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
So one thing, like I tried raw beef liver for the first time the other day. So
buddy.
why don't you explain to us what that is? And it is not as bad as you think. Like it definitely is very bloody.
Yep.
But it's not as bad as I was expecting. So that kind of took me by surprise. What's that about, man?
It is a superfood cherished by many tribes and many, many people across the world that Western society has tried, kind of shunned away because it's a bit icky, a bit yucky. It's a bit bloody and a bit tasteless or very distinct taste.
Yeah.
To be quite open, there's a lot of benefits that I can't rattle off there. I've heard them. They're in my head. I won't be able to bring it from here to here.
But you know them.
I trust it. So if you want to do your research, just research all the vitamins and nutrients that is in beef liver. I eat it raw because when you cook it, you lose some of that.
Yeah.
I also find it pretty easy nowadays to down raw liver.
And it's a mental challenge as well, you know? That's the thing. Like, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, because if you put it into perspective as well, say a wolf or something, a pack of wolves, the liver will go to the alpha because it's the most nutrient dense. You know, it's amazing for your brain. It's amazing for, your blood. It's very high in iron, all these kind of things. Super nutrient rich. Obviously, you probably wouldn't want to eat the liver of a human with our diets.
Unless it's with a nice Chianti.
Only on the Sabbath.
Yep.
Yeah, so, but like of a wild animal, you get grass fed as well.
Everything organic.
Yeah. That's important.
Massive thing. If we're going to, I might go into this tangent real quick. If you want to be the best person you can be, and you're like investing in these courses, you're reading these books, and you're doing all these workouts, and you're trying to get after it, you're really trying to get after it, but you're going to Coles and Woolworths, and you're buying like this processed, like low energy food, this like grain fed crap food. Like if you're not really understanding what you're eating, you're leaving a lot on the table, because you can go and do all these great things, but if you're not putting the right fuel in your body, you will be subpar. And that's like a big thing. I love food, eating the right things. I'm quite particular about, because if you just do a little bit of research and if you just put a little bit of effort into looking at what you're currently eating, you may be very shocked.
Yeah.
And like it's crazy the stuff they put into food. Like I think it should be illegal, some of the things that they sell.
And the fact that it isn't, man, it just blows my mind. And it just shows how deep kind of the corruption runs, like in big business. Whenever money's involved, like anything goes. For anyone listening, and you want like really quick access to kind of like a holistic view on health, and like real health, not like the fucking food pyramid and all that kind of stuff, but like real health from an alternative, unbiased perspective, Headstrong by Dave Asprey. After reading that book, honestly, I felt like I could see the body in X-ray, and like that was a huge pivot for me, because like, yeah, we know that we probably shouldn't be eating wheats and breads and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't affect me too bad, blah blah. Or you maybe, for instance, sometimes you drink coffee and you get brain fog and all this kinds of stuff. Like there are reasons why, and it has a lot to do with the brands, the quality of the brands, where the produce comes from. Like you're talking about grain-fed beef, like all that kind of stuff. The one thing about that is the grain that these cows are eating is the excess. It's like moldy. It's fucking poor, very poor quality. So that translates into the beef. Then you're getting really poor quality beef. They're inflamed. Like there's hormones that are then in the beef that are like stress hormones. So then when you're eating that beef, it's stressing out your body, and it's not providing you the nutrients that you need, because that was a nutrient weak like animal as well. So it just, because we're so far away from a natural lifestyle, we really need to... Are you kidding? That camera's just died again?
Bugger me. Switch quickly.
Yeah, well, the time is going to run out very shortly anyway. So we've got we don't have long anyway, but yeah, I feel like we just fucking darted into a bunch of good
Yeah.
chats towards the end of that then.
Good stuff.
Yeah, 100%. But I agree with that, man, honestly, and listen to Headstrong, because when I started taking my health seriously, specifically my kind of the way that my brain reacted to the certain things I was putting in it, I leveled up. Everything around me leveled up. The way I treat people, my empathy, I had more capacity for empathy because my brain wasn't like at its fucking
Wasn't redlining.
wasn't redlining, exactly right. So yeah, we could do a whole nother podcast on
Nice.
that.
I could go into this, and I love it.
100%, man.
I think the biggest, easiest way to do it, if you want to think about diet, is as close to the source as possible. So organic, like farmers markets, you go to like the organic butchers, as close to the source, the minimal processing and packaging. Like anything that's packaged up is mass produced, because they're going to mass produce, package it up. Probably not that good for you. People have to mass produce something. They're going to cut corners so they can get more out of it, so they can get more money.
Least preserve it as well.
Preserve it.
Yeah.
Just closest to the source, organic. If you're into it, which I am, a lot of animal products, eggs, meat, raw milk, good cheese, anything just natural. Get after it.
Exactly.
Fruit.
With that being said, is there anything you want to plug?
Billy Vintage, Billy.Vintage. So at Billy.Vintage on Instagram. I'll be at the Burleigh Village Markets December 5th and December 19th. If you're in the area, come down. First 100 people that come down will get a firm handshake or a crisp high five. So you got to make it down there.
Yeah,
that's a promise.
His grip will weaken by the end of the night, by the end of the day. So you make sure you want to get the nice, firm, well juiced up grip.
First in. If you're like 99th, 98th, like it'll be pretty weak, but I'll still give it all.
Yeah, at least you'll still have a smile on your face.
Always smile. Keep smiling.
Keeping on, lovely people. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're at Electric Sugar. You're here with Jack. This is Adam Green, my lovely host, and Fredwood.
Frederick Lamar is his full name.
Frederick
Lamar.
Okay, I get right around. I'm going to start calling you Frederick from now on, buddy.
Yeah, the boy.
Appreciate it, guys. We will see you again next week. If you enjoyed this episode, please just take a quick screenshot. Let us know. Post it on your channel of choice. Leave a review on Apple Podcast, YouTube, whatever you're listening to this on. We're trying to spread a good message, as you kind of got a grip from in that. I'm trying to introduce you guys to some really wholesome perspectives, and Adam has definitely stepped up to the plate tonight. So thank you, Adam, and thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. See you later, guys.
Fuck yeah! Hey, Fred. Nice work. That was just having a chat. Fred, that's all it is.